We meet today to conduct oversight of the Obama administration's fiscal year 2017 budget request for the Western Hemisphere, which aims to provide nearly $2 billion to countries in the region, with an increase over what the U.S. gave in fiscal year 2015. The administration has a plethora of initiatives in the region, all aiming to address economic, citizen security, and clean energy objectives. However, some have criticized the U.S. approach to Latin America and the Caribbean as improvised and lacking a sense of strategic direction. Today, when our nation stands at over $19 trillion in debt, we have no business giving any foreign assistance unless the administration can show a compelling vision and a clear strategy for how that aid will advance U.S. national interest in the region. Tangible objectives that have measurable benchmarks for success and evident political will from our partners to tackle the hard issues of corruption and impunity that threaten the effectiveness of U.S. assistance and the very economic growth of the hemisphere that we all hope to see. As representatives of the American people, the U.S. Congress has the responsibility to ensure that every single taxpayer dollar spent on foreign assistance furthers U.S. national interest, not those of foreign governments or international organizations. We must further work together to root out waste, fraud, abuse, and inefficiencies within the U.S. programs to prevent duplication and overlap and instead achieve successful outcomes. So with that in mind, I want to take a moment to highlight a few oversight areas that I believe require attention and adjustments. According to the Congressional Watchdogs, the Government Accountability Office, or GAO, they currently has 6 reports with open recommendations that the U.S. State Department or the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, have not fully implemented. Moreover, according to USAID's Office of Inspector General, as of April 25th, USAID had 157 open and unimplemented recommendations relating to programs in the Western Hemisphere. These include 59 recommendations that have a potential cost savings of almost $11 million. When we see such clear low-hanging fruit for achieving efficiency and cost savings, I do not understand why these recommendations remain unimplemented. Thus, I urge State and USAID to act immediately to address the GAO and OIG recommendations in a satisfactory manner. Of the nearly $2 billion requested for the Western Hemisphere in the fiscal year 2017 budget request, the administration has prioritized more than $628 million for development assistance programs and over $15 million for global climate change initiatives within the region. While I'm encouraged to see that the administration reversed its cuts in security displayed in last year's budget request, the State Department's Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement chose to request less for Mexico in order to first address the outstanding pipeline issues by spending what they still have from previous years before asking for more money. And that's a good thing. That's a good sign showing smarter financial management decisions and stewarding of American taxpayer dollars. But I'm concerned with the heavy emphasis on the development assistance rather than the economic support funds. Thus, I want to hear the administration's rationale for shifting the emphasis of U.S. assistance and the administration's plan on how to prevent country dependency on those funds. Nearly $744 million of the budget request would go to Central America. I believe it's critical for the American people to see tangible proof of U.S. assistance in the region and achieving our objectives before we provide another large tranche of money. However, I understand that the state and USAID have not yet spent the $750 million appropriated by the U.S. Congress last year. While I'm supportive of the need to address the root causes to address the migration issues to the U.S., I want to ensure that we are not simply throwing more money at the problem. What analysis has the administration done to determine if previous U.S. funding is yielding results? What commitments have Central American governments made to provide matching funds and to tackle the massive corruption problems plaguing the region? And what safeguards do the U.S. have in place to protect American investment in the region from abuse? The administration has also requested a major increase in funding for Colombia, the single largest recipient of U.S. foreign assistance in the hemisphere. Colombia is an important U.S. ally in the Western Hemisphere, and during the past 15 years, it has transformed into a respected leader in the region. Given U.S. long-term support for Colombia, the U.S. maintains a considerable stake in the outcome of the ongoing peace negotiations. I'm supportive of Colombia's efforts to achieve peace. However, I want to note that the U.S. is supporting a peace deal that's good for the Colombian people, the jointly hard-won security gains of U.S. Colombian forces, and the U.S. interest in the region. Given the request for $391 million for Colombia, I would like to hear about how these funds will support the Colombian government's efforts to verify the demobilization and disarmament of the FARC terrorist members and address the growing drug eradication and interdiction challenges. In addition, for most years since fiscal year 2009, the U.S. Congress has given $20 million annually to support democracy and human rights in Cuba. However, the administration's budget request proposes cuts to U.S. efforts in these areas. At a time when the Castro government is demolishing churches, arresting pastors, imprisoning human rights dissidents at record numbers, I can't comprehend why the administration would seek to reduce U.S. support for human rights and democracy by 25%. I would also like to understand the rationale for the administration's request for $218 million for Haiti, given GAO's reporting of multiple cases of cost overruns and delays for reconstruction projects. Similarly, I'm concerned to see the administration's request of an additional increase of funding for countries like Nicaragua while cutting U.S. assistance to our friends like Argentina, Chile, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, and Uruguay. Having recently led a congressional delegation to the region with the express intent of showing our partners in the region that the U.S. is a reliable friend, I believe these cuts in assistance send the wrong message about the U.S. interest in the region. At a time when Iran, Russia, and China continue to increase their activities in the Western Hemisphere, the U.S. needs to continue to convince our friends to make the U.S. their partner of choice. Finally, I want to ensure the U.S. assistance to inter-American organizations support U.S. interests. I'm concerned about the outsized share of U.S. support for these organizations, the limited numbers of U.S. personnel working in these organizations to support United States objectives, and seemingly low level of influence the United States has given the amount of money that the American people provide. So I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today on all these issues, and with that, I'll turn to the ranking member for his opening statement.